Yeah, and listen, before we talk about the defensive ends, we got to talk about the number one Cuban restaurant on the planet, Islas Canarias. You already know there is no Cuban restaurant better than our friends at Islas, right there in the Dayland Mall dining pavilion. 7 different types of croquetas. Let's pull up that full menu. 7 different types of croquetas. Look at all those Cuban sandwiches. Medianoche Cuban sandwich. Anything you want. They got chicken, pork, beef. What else they got here? Jackfruit if you don't eat meat. They got everything under the sun and all different kinds of pastries, desserts, coffee, you name it. They got it. Islas Canarias, the number one Cuban restaurant on planet Earth. I'll see you there. I'll probably head there this week. I've been jonesing. That Dayland Dining Pavilion is an impressive sight to behold. A lot of good options, but Islas Canarias towers above. And Johnny Lagoon says, shout out to the kimchi. He's going to stop there tomorrow before he leaves to Nashville.
There you go. So defensive end, D, very excited about this group. You didn't really add much portal-wise, but you bet on the big talents that you've landed in recruiting. A lot of blue-chip guys here. Ruben Bain, of course, kind of headlining this group. Someone who, you see him all over the place in the mock drafts from first round. Saw what he did freshman year, was banged up last year. Mario talked about it this morning on Joe Rose, saying that he doesn't think that there was a drop-off of production in the games that he played. He just thinks that people also didn't realize how severe that injury was. Even though Mario was telling us he was going to play weeks before that, but it's neither here nor there. But yes, we need a bounce back year from him, obviously, and he's kind of the tone setter for the group. But you have a lot of experience there with Mesidor coming back too, and then you mix that in with some of the young talent that we're excited about.
Yeah, I love this group, right? So this to me is going to be a tone-setting group on the defense, and I'll explain why. There's really 3 guys. There's a lot of guys in this position. And before I even get to the names, boundary, meaning closer to the sideline. When you line up on the hash, is closer to the sideline, so there's less space between you and the, like it's just a tighter area. That's going to be your more athletic guy. That's going to be your Lightfoots, your Malik Bryant's. Mesidor's playing that role here, even though he's also a bigger guy. And then the field, where there's more space and you want a stronger guy to make sure that you're not getting completely washed out with all that space to your left or your right, that's going to be your Ruben Baines, your Armando Blunt. So those are the different positions. But just within that, the guys I'm really excited about as tone setters, I'm excited about a lot of guys in this room. The guys that I think are going to help maybe the identity of this defense, I think of Bain, Mesidor, and Armando Blunt. And I'll explain why. Ruben Bain, 200, who knows where he's exactly at. He's definitely leaned out. Let's say close to 270. Incredible power. Maybe the most powerful player in the country this year, I would say, on the defensive side of the ball. You talk about just getting under guys and knocking them back. You watch that Louisville game, that's one of the most powerful performances you will see. And he's going to be as powerful as he's ever been because he's worked so hard to reshape his body, get even more explosive. But his ability to generate power, I think, is the key. And I think that's a key to the great teams, the Alabamas, the Georgias. They had knockback in their situation, as in Michigan. I think Miami has that as well with a guy like Ruben Bain. Mesidor will be starting on the other side at that boundary position. So he's big for that position, which is like more of a stand-up linebacker. He played linebacker in high school. He's leaned out to like 260. Going to be a lot lighter than when he was playing on the interior, but still a bigger guy. Another guy plays with power, knocks you back, and really has that aspect to him where he's going to set a physical tone. Armando Blunt, let's say, put him on behind Ruben Bain. Nasty dude at 260 plus, can run like a deer. You reported he was running with the linebackers and drills. He was a former track star when he was in his younger days, and he switched to throwing, and he was a top 5 thrower in the state. So he's a physical freak that is also highly intelligent, also plays really hard. All 3 of these guys, the reason I lump them all together, big for the position, powerful, and just high motor guys. Mesidor, Bain, Blunt, they run stuff down. They run stuff down the field. They play hard. They're active until the whistle. They're fighting. They're using their hands. They're looking for an edge. So I just think those 3 in particular, and there's going to be a lot of guys that play at this position, but I think those 3 in particular are really going to set the tone for this defense, where you can't push them around because they're too big and too powerful. You better stay on them pass blocking wise, because they're going to find their way to the quarterback one way or the other. And then if it's a run away from them, they're going to run that down and run to the football and provide a very physical exclamation point on that gang tackle. So I really love those three as just the tone setters of this defensive end group.
Yeah, you say tone setters. I mean, we talk a lot about how the running game is going to be able to wear teams down. I think these guys are going to wear offensive lines down. You know, you get into that late third, fourth quarter, and the violence that they play with, like you talked about, these aren't finesse players for the most part. So you're going to be dealing with this coming at you, especially with some of the rotations that they're going to throw at opposing offensive lines. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I love those guys. I mean, Pete, let me know what you're hearing about any of those three and any tidbits you have on any of those three. Again, Bane, you kind of know if you watched him play what he's capable of, especially when he's really feeling good physically. Messidor, I think people kind of underestimate Messidor's like statistical performance. I'm pulling up his career stats now, but
two out of the last 3 years he's led us in sacks. So and then
one of those he was hurt.
And one of those he was hurt. So I agree with you.
23. Sorry to cut you off, but man, this guy's played a long time. He's played this is his 6th year. This is crazy. So Pete, look at this. This is his 6th year of college football and his 5th year basically as a starter. So it's a 5th year starter, or like 5. He started 4 or 5 years at defensive end. I don't think you see that very often because of the COVID year, and he started as a true freshman in COVID. But 23 career sacks, 36 career tackles for loss, and this should be his biggest year ever.
Yeah, big fan of his. I think that he also has some of that versatility, even though he's not as big as he's maybe has been in the past. You'll still see him potentially slide inside there at times and make way for some of these other guys like a Hayden Lowe.
Yeah, Hayden Lowe, another big physical. I put him in the blunt category as far as 5-star, big defensive end, could potentially slide inside, athletic, plays really hard, really smart off the field. Kind of check all those. Because, Hayden Lowe's a nasty kind of guy. With Blunt, I think with him, people are going to, first game, they're going to realize this guy's everywhere. He does not play like, a lot of times these 5-star defensive linemen, they'll play just as much as they need to. Blunt's extra, to use what my kids say, the words these kids use. He does a little extra after the snap, after the whistle. He's not out there just to be finesse and to make a splash play here and there. He is, every snap he's out there making you work, running down the field, and just being extremely, extremely physical. Polish will come with time, but that's where I think Bane, that number 18, after that first game, people are going to notice he's out there in that first game probably very soon. And got a nice transition here from Brian. I'll let you read it because this is a guy that I know you talked to me about yesterday.
I don't think I did, but he's asking about Marquise Lightfoot, just pass rushing packages or put on weight to set the edges. Well, I think mostly pass rushing packages, if I'm being honest, D. But he has the ability to do more than that. I mean, he has the ability to drop in coverage as well.
Yeah, had an interception like 20 yards down the field. I was right there, and everybody was trying to see which DB it was, and it was him. And it was not like he was just in like a little like hook zone, and they threw it right to him. He was like down the field running and stretching out. I thought you were talking about Lightfoot. Maybe I was talking to a source. I mean, you're probably hearing the same thing I am. They love Lightfoot. He's got a high opinion in the building. His progression this year has been outstanding. He's another guy similar to Blunt, where he's a 5-star player, but he doesn't have that 5-star attitude in a negative way that sometimes you see with these defensive linemen. I mean, he is high octane, high motor, doing everything he can. He was on kickoff last year, which I think tells you about his mentality. He's doing everything he can to get to the quarterback. He's nasty, borderline dirty at times. He's someone who'll get after it, and really excited to see what he can do. I think in terms of the pure pass rushers, if Bane doesn't lead the team in sacks or Messidor doesn't lead the team in sacks, Lightfoot wouldn't shock me if Lightfoot because I could see this guy having like 3 sack games where he's just all over the place with his speed and his activity.
Yeah, I said the other day, I think 6 to 8 is sacks is like a realistic number for him, I believe. And it's, again, kind of comparing defensive linemen to the running backs. We talk about change of pace. Imagine going against these power rushers, and then you throw a 235 pound lightning quick dude with some bend around the corner at you. It's just a way different look. And by the way, he's not all speed. He can convert speed to power better than people realize, even though he's not the heaviest player in the world.
Yeah, he is not a finesse player. He's a light player. He is light. And people always ask, is he going to gain weight? He's going to gain weight. He's going to be a light player. By the way, you see these guys get drafted in the first 2 rounds of the draft all the time. I mean, who's the guy from Marshall? He slipped to the second round to the Ravens because he had some pretty bad domestic violence. Yeah, Mike Green. I mean, he had some off the field stuff that was obviously not very good. But the player was evaluated as a first round pick. So I think, the size, you just got to accept you don't want him to get too big because you want him to stay fast and aggressive. And he's physical already. He's not a finesse guy. He's a light guy. He's not a finesse guy. He's powerful and he's tough. Miami was 44th, by the way, last year in sack percentage, which is way too low. At 44th is just not where Miami wants to be. If you look at 2016, this was 2017, which was the turnover chain year, Miami was in sack percentage. So I think you want to get much closer to that type of production. And that team didn't have, first rounders everywhere. Probably more first high picks this year. But, they had a lot of good blue chip kind of guys and they got the most out of them. I think that's if you're Heatherman, you want to go from middle of the pack. 40s is not terrible, but it's not great. You want to get into that top 20, top 15 range, maybe top 10 range, sack percentage with these guys. And I think they have the talent to do it. Question about Malik Bryant from Just Jay. Malik Bryant right there with Marquise Lightfoot. He's really worked on his body. He looks strong, looks like a veteran, tough guy, knows what he's doing. Going to fit in really well as that boundary defensive end. He's going to play up. I put him in that bucket there. I think Lightfoot probably has a little more just juice, more speed with Lightfoot. Bryant more veteran savvy, a little stronger. But Malik Bryant's in that mix at that position. Another guy in that position that's rising fast, Pete. This guy I know we talked about yesterday, and I think you talked about him on your Discord, which is Herbert Scroggins, who is really, really elevating. I've heard that from multiple people now, including you. And seeing it for myself, he's someone who can get in the backfield, make plays, one of the most prolific sack artists in Georgia history coming out of Savannah. 4-star player, but not like a huge recruit. It would beat Auburn for him, beat some of the SEC teams for him, but he was not like a huge recruit, but he was someone who was highly productive, hard worker, great character.
Put on like 20 pounds. Yeah, the third is what they call him.
He's the third.
Yeah,
the third. Yeah,
they call him third. Yeah,
but he can get to the quarterback. He's getting stronger, like Pete mentioned, and he's someone that I think he's a keeper. He's a keeper.
Yeah, he's still probably a year away from being a real, contributor, big time contributor, but he's rising fast in that room without a doubt. Brandon asked about Hayden Lowe. We just spoke about him a minute ago. I mean, he's as physically impressive as you can get, and he's not shy. He's a very competitive guy as well. He's one of the bigger trash talkers on the team, from what I've heard. Yeah,
I always say this, which is with Blunt and Lowe, they're like the high GPA guys. I think Lowe's, has had family success. He's not someone that, like he's had a lot of advantages in his life. So a lot of times you get those guys in there that either had the high grades or the a well-off background, and you kind of say like, oh, these guys are going to be soft or these guys are going to be whatever. Not the case with these two. These are two of the most aggressive, physical, mean guys on the defensive line, and they also have to be two of the most talented guys. So I just like those two, and I put them in the same bucket because they just remind me of what you see in Georgia, right? They remind me of what you've seen on these championship teams the last 20 years. They have these big, physical defensive linemen that can move and that just look different than your guys. So it's nice to have those guys on your team. And I think Blunt, Hayden Lowe, put them both in that category. I think they're both 18 too, because Blunt's was a year young last year. He was 17 all last year pretty much. So Blunt's only 18. I think Lowe is 18 as well. So 2 18-year-olds that can impact your defensive end is pretty good.
Yeah. Question here that says, we know that good on good looks different from bad on bad. Well, maybe FSU doesn't know, but what have you guys seen out of the O-line, D-line battles this fall to believe you're seeing good on good? I think we have a pretty darn good idea of what the O-line is. And exactly. I know the D-line's winning battles. So that would be my indicator. I know what the O-line is. Obviously, there's still a couple new faces there, but I really feel good about that. What you have there, the statistics show kind of what you have. And then just size-wise, in terms of the O-line, again, the D-line has won some battles there. So,
yeah, you said it. We know what the O-line can do. We saw the O-line against like Caleb Banks and Tyreek Sapp. I saw those guys getting like first-round buzz from NFL draft pundits, and we saw them against Miami. They were completely dominated by our starters. It was like not even close. I think Sapp might have gotten like a coverage sack on one of the backups, but I mean, when he was in there with Noah was just toying with him. And Caleb Banks, I didn't even know he played. I couldn't tell you one play he made in that game. So we know what the offensive line looks like. So when the defensive line competes at that level, you feel pretty good about what they can do. Plus, they're all 5-star guys. I mean, some of these guys, these are not like sleepers, right? Question from Nick Isaac, Cole McConaughey, Booker Pickett, some other guys, different positions. So Booker Pickett's going to be more on that boundary side, bringing you some speed. He has that ability. Some of the same things you see with Lightfoot, you see with him. He can cover, he can rush. He's more like an outside linebacker kind of body and game, but fast and can rush the passer. McConaughey's more of your boundary. He's gotten bigger. He's out there, providing that physicality. I know they're pushing him really hard because Jason Taylor expects a lot out of him. So he's in that mix as well on that field side, right? The longer side of the wider side of the field where there's more space, and you don't want a little guy that can get washed out, and then you have even more space to operate. So he's going to be a rugged presence on that side as well.
Yeah, I think, like you said, they're different positions. The comment had mentioned Lightfoot and Pickett seems to have caught up. I think Lightfoot and Pickett are more the same spot, but more the same position. But I would say that Pickett and McConaughey are still kind of like at the similar level in terms of my reps expectation or snaps expectation for the season.
Yeah, and look, and these things change over the course of the year. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think the names that you're going to hear a lot about that maybe you haven't heard about as much are going to be Blunt and Lightfoot, right? The 5 stars last year. I just think it's time. If we're not hearing those names, something's wrong, is what I would say. And I expect to see them. I think they're going to add our physicality. I think they're going to add to our intensity, and certainly going to add to our athletic ability up front.
Yep, agreed. We missing anyone? We mentioned Scroggins. So we've mentioned some of these young guys already. I think that's pretty much it, D.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's a good group. I'm excited about it. You're going to see pass rushers as well from the linebacking core. So, it's not just going to be the defensive ends bearing the brunt of that edge rush. But yeah, no, I'm excited about all of those guys. I think that's going to be that group. I said this about, I think offensive line is going to be a major strength. I think defensive end is going to be a strength. Tight end, we'll see. I'm such an Elijah Lofton fan that I think he's going to make an impact in a pretty unique way. And then Bauman and those other guys think are going to be solid. So I think tight end relative, it'll be a strength in general. Not quite what the strength that when you had Elijah Arroyo, who again, I don't think anyone in the country, look around, take your pick. I don't care if it's a Vanderbilt kid who I like, Ohio State. I don't think anybody's Elijah Arroyo this year. So nobody has him. We don't either, obviously. So we'll see on that group, but I think it'll be a solid group. Whereas offensive line, I think, going to be elite type group. Defensive end has a chance if Ruben Bain performs at an All-America level, which a lot of people expect. I think you're talking about defensive end potentially as one of the elite groups in the country. I don't think that's out of the cards if Ruben Bain plays to what people expect him to play to. And you got 5 stars. I mean, again, people would say you're a homer, but when you have projected first-round picks, projected for All-Americas, and you have 5 stars behind them, and a guy like Mesidor who's got 23 sacks already at the Power 4 level, I think it's fair to expect that top-level production and not just solid play. Certainly better than what you had last year. I think that's all fair. Would you agree with that, Pete?
Yeah, they obviously, by not going out into the portal, believed in what they had here, D. So out of all positions where they pretty much went and got someone everywhere except DN, am I missing a position that they didn't go get someone at? They got someone at every spot except O-line. They got Brockermeyer, their starting center. So it shows you that they felt like there was legit talent there. They've got to produce. And I know a lot of times the numbers aren't necessarily reflective of the performance. Like last year, the DBs were so bad that I think they were getting attacked a certain way that didn't allow the defensive line to really get upfield. And then the scheme being different should help too. But at the end of the day, it's the same guys. So it's on them to have. We are talking about these steps they've made physically, but they got to go produce. No
doubt. We'll see. Good test first week. Some pretty good tackles they'll be going again. So it'll be fun, man. Excited to watch these defensive ends perform. I have high hopes. Before we get out of here, P, I want to talk about Canes Connection, partnering with Miami Hurricane Team Store. This is MiamiHTS.com. But in person, next to the Thesis Hotel, Fridays. This is in a few days, man. This is Friday, August 22nd, 4 to 5 p.m. Set your calendars. This is a must-attend event right there on US 1, next to the University of Miami, next to the Thesis Hotel. And that is meet and greet with football head coach Mario Cristobal, 4 to 5 p.m. Friday. You do not want to miss that event. Once you're there, use promo code INSIGHT20. Just tell them CanesInSight. You'll get 20% off your first item. You get a ton of stuff you need to get ready for the season. But most importantly, meet the head man. These opportunities do not come around often. This guy lives in his office, so he does not usually get out for these kind of meet and greets, especially not, the public at large. Maybe if you're a Canes Connection member, you're a big booster, but these kind of things are rare. Hard to find the time, but he's got the time. Friday, 4 to 5 p.m., August 22nd. Be there at the Miami Hurricane Team store. All right, Pete. Pretty good show today, man. We got a lot going on.
Yep. Without a doubt. And I might be back on later today, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Appreciate everybody. Go Canes.
Go Canes. Hit that like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.